this is Anthony John Agnello, Senior Social Editor at GamesRadar Plus. Many things can go wrong when making a game. Engine licenses expire, publishers change hands, high-ranking devs leave everyone high and dry. In many cases, the games that enter what we dramatically call development hell don't turn out so hot. Duke Nukem Forever was in fact a real thing. But sometimes, magically, everything comes up sunshine and rainbows, and that game you've read about since grade school finally comes out in excellent shape. These 9 games fall into that category. Alan Wake. Remedy Entertainment decided to shift gears after Max Payne 2 wrapped in 2003. Its next project would be a darker, more horrific game, and a hell of a lot more forested. At E3 2005, Remedy announced the arrival of Alan Wake, a new breed of psychological horror game that would make its way to Xbox 360 and PC. Despite this early reveal, we wouldn't get a chance to play Alan Wake until 2010. Part of the reason it took so long is that the game started as an open-world title, where time would pass in a realistic fashion, people would go about their daily lives, and you'd have to interrogate suspects and investigate clues to solve the bigger mystery. It would have been interesting to explore an open world set in the spooky Pacific Northwest, but the more linear form it ultimately took made for a much tighter story. Gran Turismo 5. Gran Turismo has always been known for its exhaustive commitment to realism. After 2 successful outings on the PlayStation 2, racing fans were looking forward to the gorgeous-looking cars only the PlayStation 3 could render. But that kind of slavish attention to detail takes time. The first concept footage of Gran Turismo 5 showed up at E3 2005, even though the PlayStation 3 wouldn't release for another year. Before it actually came out, developer Polyphony Digital released Gran Turismo HD Concept, a free demo designed to show off what Gran Turismo 5 would ultimately look like, and Gran Turismo 5 Prologue, a paid expanded demo. When Gran Turismo 5 finally finished development in 2010, it was met with widespread acclaim. And even better, the developers learned the value of picking up the damn pace, releasing Gran Turismo 6 a mere 3 years later.
A city on the verge of greatness.
L.A. Noire.
Based not on the man, but on the automobile.
Ambition is admirable, and L.A. Noire is nothing if not ambitious. After developing the uniquely cinematic actioner The Getaway, Brendan McNamara formed Team Bondi to work on a 1940s neo-noir detective game called L.A. Noire. Development started in 2004, with publishing duties originally handled by Sony. L.A. Noire would be a showcase for the PlayStation 3, featuring realistically modeled digital actors, complete with realistic emotional cues and facial tics that would truly sell the team's vision of 40s Los Angeles. Ambition can also be deadly. L.A. Noire missed numerous deadlines. Publishing duties transferred to Rockstar in 2006, and it was due out in 2008 before eventually being pushed to 2010 and then again to 2011, where it finally saw release to a mixed reception. Noir isn't perfect, but it is a solid detective story, and there's still nothing else quite like it. S.T.A.L.K.E.R, Shadow of Chernobyl. Before Fallout 3 filled our heads with visions of fully explorable, irradiated wastelands, there was S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Announced in 2001 with a planned release of 2003, this wildly ambitious post-apocalyptic RPG wouldn't come out until 2007. Even then, it wasn't in the best shape, as it was riddled with bugs that often rendered it unplayable. But when it did work, its open world was truly something special, plopping us into a hellscape filled with opportunistic bandits and mutated beasts. Many of its issues have since been smoothed out, and fans have even created mods that up the graphical quality significantly. Bioshock Infinite. When Bioshock Infinite went into development in 2008, Irrational Games came up with several possible locations for the sequel, from revisiting Rapture to setting it during the Renaissance. Eventually, the team settled on the skybound city of Columbia, which allowed for the natural implementation of its signature skyhook, but even then, Infinite was constantly changing. Drinkable nostrums, think like a passive version of Vigors, gave way to equipable gear, multiplayer plans were developed and ultimately shelved, and several high-profile members of the team left years before finishing. Epic Games' Rod Ferguson was brought in late in development as a closer, intent on getting the game shipped. While what we got was certainly a far cry from the initial demo revealed in 2010, Bioshock Infinite is still a highly entertaining shooter filled with the sort of big ideas you don't often see in mainstream games.
It was the 23rd century, mankind's darkest hour.
Freelancer. When Freelancer launched in 2003, it seemed almost miraculous. Such was the development hell famed Wing Commander dev Chris Roberts found himself in. Initially conceived in 1997, Roberts and his team at Digital Anvil wanted it to be a massive, virtual galaxy full of possibilities. 2 years later, Freelancer was revealed to the public with a scheduled release of fall 2000. But Roberts left after Microsoft bought out Digital Anvil, forcing the team to scale back its ambitious plans. Automated flight maneuvers, multiple dialogue options, and multiplayer capable of supporting thousands of concurrent players were either reduced significantly from their initial goals or abandoned completely. While the final product was a mere fraction of the game originally promised, Freelancer still turned out to be a fun, light-hearted take on the sprawling space sim, though much of what was done was without its original creator at the helm.
We made it! Everybody in one piece?
Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman.
Half-Life 2. Forget the nigh-mythical Half-Life 3, Half-Life 2 went through its own tumultuous road to release. Started in 1999, mere months after finishing the original Half-Life, Valve wouldn't show off its sequel for 5 years. Initially unveiled at E3 2003 in slightly playable form, Half-Life 2 was supposed to be released that year, but development was fraught with the pitfalls inherent in creating new and untested technology. Unfortunately, a leak of Half-Life 2's source code, maps, assets, and other data caused a year-long delay, pushing it to November 2004. How did it ultimately turn out? It's one of the best games ever made, that's how. Team Fortress 2. The joke is that Valve operates on a different time scale than what we mere mortals are used to. If something is supposed to come out in September 2003, that means November 2004 in Valve time. In the case of Team Fortress 2, a release time frame of soon actually meant 8 goddamn years. Team Fortress Classic met with instant adoration when it came out in 1999, but that wasn't enough for its developers, who instantly began work on a sequel. First shown off at E3 that same year, Team Fortress 2 sported a modern military aesthetic, a command hierarchy, and even allowed for parachute drops. After several years of silence, Team Fortress 2 re-emerged with a much more lively cartoon look inspired by Cold War spy fiction. Constant updates, including those of its coveted hats, have kept the game relevant for a further 9 years after its release.
It costs $400,000 to fire this weapon for 12 seconds.
Grandfather!
Prey. Prey went through numerous false starts and stops on the road to its eventual release in 2006. First conceived in 1995, it was imagined as the start of a long-running series that would be the showpiece for 3D Realms' in-house engines. Unfortunately, numerous technical issues and the departure of Tom Hall, who left to form Ion Storm with John Romero, caused the project to come to a screeching halt in 1999, but it wasn't quite dead, as 3D Realms picked up development of the title again in 2001, bringing on Human Head Studios to help. Even with this new lease on life, the new Prey wasn't officially confirmed until 2005, and then another year passed before it saw release on PC and Xbox 360. While 11 years of development may not have given us the greatest video game ever conceived, Prey was still a very entertaining sci-fi horror freakout, filled with mind-bending portals and one of the coolest intros in video games. If you dug this feature and want more like it, follow GamesRadar at youtube.com/GamesRadar.